For those of you finding this channel for the first time, welcome to Critical Thinker. My name is Jack Mumford. I hold a master's degree in rhetoric and argumentation and am finishing up my dissertation for my doctorate in the same field. I have an extensive library, and during my formal education have been exposed to the best minds in philosophy, history, and thought. I wanted to take that knowledge and give you the fast track in obtaining it.
I know Kung Fu.
After reading hundreds of thousands of pages, I've come to know that not all of it is accessible intellectually, nor useful. I wanted to help people become smarter, faster, and not have to read all the books and spend $100,000 on education to get there. This channel teaches critical thinking skills so you can level up in negotiating, debating, writing, decision-making, problem-solving, and persuading people. Critical thinking is heavy lifting for the mind, which means we cover deep content. To make your grasp of these concepts easier, and because I love movies, you will learn through video clips.
But you would even think that shows me how unprepared you are to fight me.
You're no longer equipped to
I may
fight
be off,
me.
but you think I didn't learn anything? That my synapses didn't change? That I kept absolutely nothing?
You have no idea what kind of enemy I can
That
be.
van's gonna rear in that taxi.
What?
The driver's distracted. He's texting. He's going 30 miles an hour. He's 60 feet to stop. He doesn't have room.
What van?
I see everything, Carl. I'm 50 moves ahead of you and everybody else.
They're like little rewards that are timed just right so you don't get bored. They also serve to help illustrate the concepts you're learning in a visual way. You'll find humor, entertainment, wonder, and some nostalgic moments to help you on your journey to becoming a better thinker. I'm excited for what's in store today and hope that it helps you in our common goal of becoming a critical thinker. Remember, all the videos are interconnected and built upon the foundations that we've laid before, so don't miss any previous installments. We've covered the system for critical thinking in our video titled The Lethal 8. We looked at the rules of logic, self-refuting claims. In the last video, we covered the first 9 of the logical fallacies. Today, we'll cover fallacies 9 through 15. Let's get started. Knowing the fallacies empowers you to see when someone makes a mistake in their thinking or argumentation. It authorizes you to explain not only that an argument is wrong, but what makes it wrong. You'll help people become better, make better arguments and decisions for yourself, and you won't be susceptible to those who abuse logic in their attempts to manipulate and control you or others.
We should really have the office's air quality tested. I mean, we have radon coming from below. We have asbestos in the ceilings. These are silent killers.
You are the silent killer. Go back to the annex.
You'll see.
As critical thinkers, we must back up our arguments with facts, reason, and evidence, and avoid irrelevant emotional appeals, opinions, or questions that we pretend are persuasive. If you make a claim with nothing to back it up, you have an opinion, not a conclusion. Sometimes, though, we have strong and sound opinions. We just need to learn how to speak with clarity about when we have an argument and when we're just speculating. One caveat: there are some things that we can know without evidence. Objective morality, for example. There are things that are just wrong, and we need no justification for why that is the case. I don't have to explain and offer evidence for how I know what love is, how math works, why the rules of logic are true, what I'm currently thinking about, or why some musical notes sound good together and others don't. These realms are self-evidential truths that are foundational, for we use them as brute facts to access knowledge that we don't have. Some things just are, and we don't need to justify why that is. Remember last week's statement about evidence? It is wrong always, everywhere, and for anyone to believe anything upon insufficient evidence. This is false, for it fails to uphold the standard it sets for itself. If it is wrong to believe anything upon insufficient evidence, what evidence has been provided to procure belief in that very statement? None. Then the statement is self-refuting. Conclusive evidence and certainty are amazing when we have them, but we rarely do so. We need to speak with precision. and accept when our argument is not as strong as we would like it or our knowledge of the field is lacking when making a decision. Throttle back your claims and stop exaggerating. Logical fallacies often go undetected because of emotional pleas. Marketing departments, politicians, even cult leaders are experts in manipulating emotions. If you bolster your comprehension of logic and reasoning, you won't be subject to poor arguments, emotional manipulation, and you'll be able to help yourself and others arrive at the truth. We left off with the red herring in our last video, which is changing the subject. Today, we'll begin with appeal to authority. Number 9, appeal to authority. The arguer cites an expert in the field as the reason others should accept their position. Titles, roles, and expertise don't always speak the truth, though. Experts make mistakes all the time. When someone appeals to authority, we just need to ask how their expert arrived at their conclusions, and if they could demonstrate how they got there to help us understand. If they use technical jargon or attempt to speak over your head, they may be doing so to make you feel as if you're out of your league.
Hi. Hello. Do you remember me? No, I'm sorry. I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me? Oh. You work on commission, right? Yes. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
They want to make it so you'll learn to not question them anymore. Never learn to not question. And when you feel like someone is trying to mansplain, pretend to be even dumber than they're making you out to be, which forces them to explain it as they would to a child. You'll probably learn that they don't really have a good handle on what they arrived at and how they came to their conclusions, because they're hiding an opinion behind a fallacious argument. Here's an example. I trust Dr. Fauci because he has the letter D and the letter R in front of his name. He's medical degrees and understands immunology. He serves as the director of the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and is the chief medical advisor to the president. We should not base our acceptance of someone's argument on their authority or expertise in a field. We base our acceptance of an argument based upon the logic, premises leading to a conclusion, evidence, and the relevance of the connections from one premises to the next, eventually arriving at the conclusion. Most cults, and even many religions, operate on this principle of authority called fideism, or fideism.
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 I don't know how you say it. Don't fall prey and don't be the tyrant who abuses their authority thinking they're above explanation or questioning. Number 10. Appeal to an unqualified authority. The arguer cites an untrustworthy authority, lacks an expertise or biased, perhaps they're prejudiced, has a motive to lie, maybe they lack an ability. Here's an example. My pastor is very smart about theology. He doesn't believe aliens exist, therefore UFOs must be explained by some other phenomenon. He may be right, but your acceptance of his position about UFOs shouldn't be found in your pastor's intelligence concerning theology. At least I don't think it is. Okay, I suppose it could be, but he would have to demonstrate how that is the case, which means I can't just take your word on your pastor's opinion. My knee-jerk reaction tells me that your pastor probably isn't an expert on aliens and UFOs. And if he is, you probably need to find a new pastor. Remember, we don't accept an argument or position based upon someone being an authority, but especially an unqualified authority. Number 11, appeal to ignorance. The premises prove nothing, but a definite conclusion is nevertheless drawn. Here's an example. You made some good points about Bigfoot that I've never heard before. I don't have an explanation for the information that you provided and simply lack expertise in that field. I don't have an argument against the evidential case for the existence of Bigfoot, but I know someone out there must have disproved it, so I don't buy it. You cannot appeal to ignorance as a reason to believe or not believe something. It convinces no one when you yourself are not convinced. Stop it. Number 12, hasty generalization. A general conclusion is drawn from an atypical sample. Here's an example. My uncle is a plumber and treats his wife like a second-class citizen. Because of that, I don't trust plumbers. You shouldn't trust plumbers because they charge an arm and a leg, not because one of them treats your aunt wrong. Just kidding. We should trust all plumbers. Wrong again. Sheesh, logic is difficult. We should trust plumbers if they charge a fair price, perform the work requested, and they do so in a timely fashion. Sure, there's probably other criteria that we could add to that, but anyways, none of that has to do with hasty generalization. It's just a freebie, critical thinker for all your plumbing needs. This is along the same lines of the oversimplification I shared last week. Number 13, false cause. The conclusion depends upon a non-existent or minor causal connection. A good way of remembering this fallacy is the gambler's fallacy. This is the belief that there is a sequence instead of probability in what's going to be played next. This is how I went broke in Vegas. I rolled a 2 followed by a 4, and I bet the house on the next roll being a 6. I don't even know what gamble goes by 2s. Like, is there a real game that you can do in Vegas? Maybe that's why I lost. Just because a sequence of 2 followed by a 4 was rolled does not in any way entail what will be rolled next. Here's an easy way to remember this one. A false cause is not the cause for the cause. For the cause. Wolverines! Under the same umbrella is the oversimplified cause. There's more than one cause, and this conclusion is not the best cause. Here's an example. When it rains, the sidewalk gets wet. The sidewalk is wet, therefore it must have rained. Is rain the only way the sidewalk can get wet? No. Use your imagination. Okay, don't get too creative. Number 14, slippery slope. Small events that lead to catastrophic outcomes. The conclusion depends on an unlikely chain reaction of causes. It ends in disaster. Think small premises leading to the apocalypse. Domino theory. Here's an example. If America doesn't help South Vietnam, then all the other countries would fall and all of Southeast Asia will become commies. Here's another one. If you break your diet and have 1 cookie tonight, you'll just want to eat 10 more cookies tomorrow, and before you know it, you'll have gained back the 15 pounds you lost. Don't break your diet if this somehow encouraged you to eat that cookie. It's just an example. Come on. Number 15, weak analogy. Spot the similarities and what the differences are. Conclusion depends upon a defective analogy. It's a similarity that isn't as similar as they would want you to believe. It's Easter week, so here's an Easter Bunny week analogy. Get it? Week analogy? Easter Bunny week? Anyway. Believing in the literal resurrection of Jesus is like believing in the literal existence of zombies. This is a weak analogy because, firstly, Jesus was said to be alive, not just undead. Secondly, zombies eat brains. Jesus did not, as far as we know. Jesus' resurrection happened historically. Zombies are horror sci-fi. Now, some atheists out there are flipping their lid right now because I said Jesus' resurrection happened historically, but that is a statement of fact according to historiographical standards. I can temper that, back off that statement a little bit, and say that the disciples died for the belief that they saw Jesus risen from the dead, but that's still a historical account. Happy Easter. Thank you for sticking with it to the end to level up your critical thinking skills. We've covered 15 of the 22 logical fallacies that I'll be addressing. Be on the lookout for them in your daily life. Bite your tongue before you let one out. Stop people in their tracks when they're using them. Make better decisions by not arriving at conclusions through them. Over the next month, I'll be moving myself and my family from Southern California to North Carolina, so the channel will be quiet for a little bit as we settle in and I set up the new studio. In the meantime, critical thinkers, think deeply.